In our last lesson, we talked about units, unit rates, proportions, and now we're going to move into percentages, which is a type of proportion, but it's always a ratio out of 100. Okay? So a ratio out of 100 that represents a part to whole relationship. Percent literally means per 100, and it's represented using the percent symbol. So when we're calculating a percent, we just need to know what the part is and what the whole is. We can divide those and multiply it by 100 to get the percent notation. And if we don't multiply by 100, we have the decimal notation. Percents can be written as decimals, fractions, ratios, and with a percent symbol. So for example, 50% can be written as a ratio, 50 out of 100, or simplified to 1 to 2. In fraction notation, again, simplified, or as a decimal notation. Most often we deal with percent in decimal notation because it's the most consistent and straightforward. So when we want to look at equivalent forms, what is 29% as a fraction to a decimal? So remember, it just means out of 100. So it's 29 out of 100, which is our fraction notation. And then if we want to write it in decimal notation, we just do the division. And when we do 29 divided by 100, we get 0.29. And again, you can think of this as 29 hundredths. That's the decimal place. So 29 hundredths. Now, when we want to calculate percents, we'll basically set up our proportion of part to whole and then multiply it by 100. If you took a quiz in math class and got a 21 out of 24, what is your grade as a percent? So you take the number you got right out of the total number of questions, and you do the division to get 0.875. Multiply that by 100, and we get 87.5%. Then if we want to figure out what value a percent is, we can basically do the same operation, but kind of in reverse. So remember, what is 150% of 8? Well, 8 is going to be our whole. And so let's look at our percent equals the part out of whole times 100 formula and kind of fill in some values that we have. We know we have 150%. We don't know what the part is, but we do have the whole value, which is 8. And then we know that's going to be multiplied by 100. And so what we can do is go ahead and actually solve for x algebraically. We can divide both sides by 100, and we get 1.5 equals x over 8. Then multiply both sides by 8, and we get 12 equals x. So 12 is 150% of 8. And that's going to be larger than the whole because our percent is larger than 100. It's more than 100. Parts of a whole should add up to 100%. We can use percentages to determine what that missing part is. So we have a bag that is filled with red and blue marbles. There are 25 marbles in the bag, and 56% of the marbles are blue. How many red marbles are in the bag? So what we do is we start out with the percent that we have. Okay, and we know that 56% of the marbles are blue. So we don't know the part, but we do know the whole out of 25 marbles times 100. So just like we did above, we can go ahead and solve for the value of x. And we end up getting that 14 of the marbles are blue. So we have 14 blue marbles. And if we have 14 blue marbles and the rest are red, we can just do a simple subtraction of 25 minus 14 to give us 11 red marbles. The other way that we could approach this is figure out what percentage of marbles are red. And so the other way we could look at it is we take the 100%, subtract the 56 that are blue, and we know that 44% are red. So then we set up the same proportion that we did before, but instead of 56, we use 44%. So 44% of the marbles are red. with x over 25 times 100. So 0.44 equals x over 25. And then when we multiply 25, we get the same answer as 11 red marbles. Of the juniors at South High School, 45% played for a sports team. If 117 juniors played for the school sports team, how many students are in the junior class? So again, we've got 45%, okay? And we know that 117 juniors played, so that's 45% of the whole. We don't know what the whole is. So we have this value of x times 100. And now we can go ahead and solve for how many are in the entire class. So how many juniors are in the entire class? We have 260 juniors in the entire class. A group of 1,300 people took a survey in which they had to select their favorite of the 4 seasons. The incomplete table shows the results. What percentage of respondents said summer was their favorite season? What number of respondents, what's the percentage, and then what's the actual number of respondents? So we can start with the percentage. The percentage has to add up to 100. So what we can do is subtract all of these values from 100 to figure out the missing percent, which is 34. So we know that 34% of respondents said that their favorite season is summer. And so we'll set up the problem just like we did before. 34%. We know that they surveyed 1,300, so that's our whole. And we go through and solve for x. 442 people said that summer was their favorite. Last but not least, we can go ahead and translate a couple word problems. What generally means x, is for equal, of means multiplied by, and percent usually means divide by 100. So we can actually take this formula and pretty much just translate this one-to-one. 36 equals what x percent of divided by 100 of times 60. And so we can take that as 36 equals x divided by 100 times 60. And we can go ahead and solve for x. And we get that 36 is 60% of 60. In testing 2 engines, the mechanic finds that engine A puts out 125% of the horsepower and of engine B, and engine B puts out 120 horsepower. How much horsepower does engine A put out?